Let me address this Pat McAfee, Adam Cole incident. For those who don't know, Pat McAfee used to play in the NFL. He was a punter for the Indianapolis Colts. I think he played for the Colts his entire career. He's a big wrestling fan. And WWE has used him for a lot of their kickoff shows. So he works with them. He works for WWE on and off in a more of like an analyst role. Not an announcer so much, but like an analyst. Although I think he has been an announcer. And he does watch-alongs and things of that nature. And he and Adam Cole have had this thing for a while now where Cole doesn't really like him. He's yelled at him before. And just, stuff like that. Like their own little angle. But McAfee also has his own radio show. I don't know if it's on the radio or if it's a podcast, the Pat McAfee Show. And he invited Adam Cole to be on his show in studio this past week. And Cole agreed, and he showed up, and he's on the couch. And things were going fine, and it was just like any other normal, interview. Cole was talking about his career and signing with WWE and his run in NXT so far, and he called himself the king of NXT. And McAfee started to laugh. He guffawed, and then he laughed, and Cole, obviously was bothered by that. And then he brought up Shawn Michaels, and he said even Cole would have to admit that you're nowhere close to being as good as Shawn Michaels. And that kind of, again, took Cole off guard a little bit. Cole sold it like he was offended with his tone and the way that it was worded. And then from there, it got even more obvious that it was a work when McAfee started talking about Cole, you're the king of NXT. You surround yourself with other people that have helped you, and the Undisputed Era has helped you. And then he made a comment about Cole being small. He made a comment about his physical stature. He said, you're a small guy. And Cole kind of laughed. He goes, we're going to talk about the size thing now. And then he snapped and he knocked over the microphone that was in front of him. He stood up. He got up in McAfee's face. He started dropping F-bombs. Started yelling that I took time away from my family to come do your stupid fucking show. He shoved McAfee's producer when the guy came over to put a hand on his shoulder and try to calm him down. And then Cole dropped more F-bombs on his way out. And he walked out of the studio. He stormed out. And it warmed my heart to see so many people questioning whether or not this was real or not, because it just goes to show that KAYFABE, while it may have been in a coma for the past 20 years or so, still shows some signs of life here and there. It's on life support. It's hooked up to a whole bunch of machines. But it does still have a pulse. And the reason a lot of people seem to believe and be buying into this idea that, this was clearly a shoot, or it was, it turned into one or whatever, is just because Adam Cole started saying fuck this and fuck that. He started dropping a whole bunch of F-bombs and, in WWE, they would never let you do that. And so therefore it must be real. And that's exactly what you would do if you wanted to convince people that it was real. So, hey, hat tip to them. I thought it was very smart. But no, this was not a shoot. Adam Cole did not shoot on Pat McAfee. He did not get angry with Pat McAfee. Of course it was a work. The question is, what purpose does it serve? It only serves a purpose if it's building to something, and that would have to be a match. And these celebrity matches are very much hit or miss. But McAfee is an athlete. He's a fan of the product. It could be something for Adam Cole to do at this next TakeOver 30 show that they're doing next month. After the incident, McAfee posted this on his Twitter while sharing a screenshot of a private DM with Adam Cole, a conversation where he asked Cole to do the show, and Cole agreed to do it, and with that screenshot, he said this. Hindsight is always 20/20, but I obviously regret this DM. I thought a conversation between us could have been good content for the show, but instead it ended up ending in the most insane way imaginable. He broke a mic, a headset, pushed Ty Schmidt, and stormed out of our office. I've sat here for 20 minutes now trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I obviously never mean to disrespect anybody, but fuck that guy. There's no way that's how an adult human should act. I pride our show on being a positive, good time, having upbeat, shows, and he will never be invited back. So they're doing a good job of playing things up. I think it's cute that people are buying into it, but maybe it'll help drum up interest, in this takeover show. But no, I absolutely, because I got questions about this on Twitter and a couple of emails. I absolutely do not believe at all that any of this is real, was real, or that it was a work that became a shoot, or Adam Cole went into business for himself. Of all people, I mean, come on now. Of all people, Adam Cole. That's another aspect to this too. Like, there might be certain people who I could believe would fly off the handle and lose their shit. Adam Cole is not one of those people. Adam Cole is the consummate professional. And maybe that's why they did it, because it's more shocking that way. But no, that is not the case here. Yeah, I saw Mark Henry was on Busted Open. He was adamant that it was not a work. Bubba Ray Dudley said it wasn't a work. Please. As soon as I was done watching the clip, I knew what this was. I thought people would figure it out the moment that McAfee started laughing at him for calling himself the king of NXT, but then he went and mentioned Undisputed Era helping him to win his matches, and it's like, come on now. But that's what I love about wrestling. When people believe. We don't have enough of that anymore. It's one of the things that's missing. When somebody shoots an angle, and it has people asking the question, was that real? Well, I didn't think it was real at first, but man, it sure seems real. That's when you know you've done your job well. Pat McAfee against Adam Cole at TakeOver. I mean, let's see if that's the plan, and if so, how they build it up. I will reserve judgment until I see where they take it. It could turn out to be a really fun, believable angle if they play their cards right. Or it could just be something to get people talking, and it doesn't lead to anything, which to me is completely pointless, and then this really was a waste of time if it doesn't build to something. As for this week's show, Keith Lee, he surrendered his North American title so as not to take opportunities away from other members of the roster. This was the only logical outcome. I mean, your NXT champion should not be losing a match for his second-tier title. That just makes no sense. And it makes no sense not to split the titles, because if you're just going to have a double champion, then what the hell is the point of even having a secondary title for other people to fight for? New Japan is doing the same thing. I hope they get that IC title off of Evil very soon. It's been long enough. Naito was the double champion, and then the pandemic hit, so that kind of changed everything. I don't know if he would have been a double champion for very long or not. So now he lost, but now Evil has both belts. Well, why does Evil need both belts? He doesn't need both belts. So I feel the same way even with New Japan. It's a nice achievement, but then you do what they did with the Ultimate Warrior back in 1990. WWE got it right back in 1990 when they forced the Ultimate Warrior. Wow, it's 30 years ago. When they forced the Ultimate Warrior to surrender his Intercontinental Championship after he beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 6. I mean, what the hell did he need the IC title for anymore? Was he going to go out there and lose and get pinned by Mr. Perfect? Give other people a chance. They had a tournament, and Mr. Perfect won the championship in the tournament. Or actually, he won the WWF Tag Team belt. If you go back and look at the photos, they didn't have the IC title that night. I guess somebody misplaced it. So they sent him out there, and he was celebrating with a Tag Team belt. I don't remember if they digitized that on TV or not. I'm going to guess not, because there's photos clear as day that show him clearly holding up a tag team belt. Which is funny, because that's what they did with Ric Flair. They did the exact same thing. When Ric Flair was no longer allowed to bring the big gold belt on television when he had brought it over to the WWF. For a while he had it, and then I guess he reached some kind of agreement, or maybe there was a lawsuit or whatever it was with WCW. And instead, they started doing the video distortion, but you could see, like, he was carrying around a tag team belt. So I guess whenever there's any kind of an issue, just give the guy a tag team belt. That's all.